Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. Excited to be here, and my name is Thomas Crofter. I'm at Avanade, running our digital workplace center of excellence globally. And together with me, I have two colleagues on stage, Klaus and Florian. May you introduce yourself?
Yep. So my name is Florian Ceppanario. I'm with the company Continental AG from Regensburg, and I am leading the corporate service desk for this company.
Yeah. My name is Klaus Zünkler. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for visiting the session. I'm with Avanade and responsible as a project manager for delivering the chatbot project, which we will show to you today.
So what we are doing here is all about AI. So Avanade is owned by Accenture and Microsoft. We are always striving to innovative solutions, and that's the one that we want to present to you today. So let me give a little bit of a background. Looking back 10 years ago, talking about workplace, it was mostly about desktop and all of this service desk. Investments have to go in all the time. Now, in the meantime, a lot of disruption has happened, right? In digital, we call it social media, analytics, AI, all this stuff coming in. And we saw a lot of change expectations, not only by consumers, but also employees. So the overall workplace experience has changed, which is something that people and organizations are struggling to comply with. So for us, it's all about three areas. It's not only the technology platform that has to be done in the right way, but also HR is coming in. Culture, employee experience is very important to give a good workplace experience, as well as optimize operations. Business leaders are looking after that. So workplace experience for us is in the intersection of all of this. And Continental was one of the customers we were working with 3 years ago to create a new work style. So that was the ambition that we entered together. They hired us to be the trusted advisor for all of these projects. And we entered into a program that we called the New Work Style Program, starting with a number of initiatives. So Office 365 rollout, and this has to be integrated into service and operations. There were content migration initiatives, new workloads enablement in terms of mail, personal files, all of this had to be come in. And then there was a component of the program which we called the digital workplace enablement. And in order to run this, we thought about an initiative, how we can enable and support people to adopt the platform. And that's where something coming in that we called Mo. And without further ado, I hand over to Florian to talk us a little bit about Continental and what's Mo all about.
Exactly. So those of you who don't know Continental, it's a German company. It was founded in 1871. And its main business is automotive systems, such as tires, and, for example, brake systems, infotainment systems for the car, and also intelligent systems, such as autonomous driving. We are employing currently, I would say, around 250,000 plus employees worldwide in 50 different countries. So we're quite a big company. And when we decided to make this move from Lotus Notes, actually, our old systems to Office 365, it was quite a challenge. And we wanted to empower our workforce for the future. We wanted to introduce the so-called new work style, because when we were coming from a very split up environment, we were using notes for messaging and same time for instant chat, but we were also using Microsoft products such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, of course, in our daily business. And somehow we wanted to get a bit further to enable the collaboration between our workforce better, and also to introduce a new vision. This vision we call new work style, and we really believe that it would bring a better collaboration possibility for our employees. And we do this by introducing Microsoft Office 365 into our company. So the target is that we are rolling out Office 365 by end of 2018. And of course, we do it with the help of our partners, Avanade here. Now, you can imagine that rolling out Office 365 in such a large company is quite a challenge. And one of the biggest challenges is how do we raise the awareness of the end users on these new products, because most of them have probably heard of Outlook, but they never heard about Teams, right? So it was quite an investment that we made in communication and in promotion material. And also, to support this transition, we introduced a chatbot concept called Mo that should guide our users to adopt these new tools a bit better. And then I would like to show you a bit about our new work style concept and what this means for Continental.
Dear, oh dear, that's messy. A completely fragmented software landscape from different providers, not really integrated. Have to clean up, have to clean up. Office 2013, that's before I was even born. Now they're getting shiny new Office 365, all integrated, yep. And that is only the surface. I spent long nights turning all the networks and servers upside down in every single location, worldwide. But hey, what's all this paper stuff? Sharing data on a printed sheet? Somebody here needs a whole new work style. This is our chance to become more efficient and more productive with all these nice new tools. Wowee! So the new tools are up and running. Let's see if we can initiate a change of behavior together, because in the end, it all starts in your head with the right mindset. And with the right skills and competencies delivered lawyer, yep. Have to clean up, have to clean up. Have to clean up, have to clean up. Mindset, skill set, tool set. A shiny new work style. Don't panic, I won't leave you alone with all this new stuff. If you need help, take a look at the Traveler's Guide to the Future first. Or let's have a chat whenever you want. Fancy some training? Let's choose one of our various learning journeys. Or just follow me and I'll show you how to get along. Totally confused now? Don't panic, just look it up in our 42 new work style community. You'll find everything you need to get ready for the new work style. Office 365, your new work style. Let's do something great together.
All right, hope you like that one. Our communication team invested quite a lot of effort in that, and I think they did a really good. See, this new work style concept is actually part of the digital transformation that most of the companies are going through. So we need to be closer to our employees and transmit this message about these new collaboration possibilities that Office 365 brings with us. Good. Now, from an IT perspective, of course, this creates quite a challenge because, first of all, you will have to handle the incidents coming from the users, right? And that's a lot, probably, we assumed. And on the other hand side, you have to deal with the how-to questions. How do I configure Outlook, or how do I create an archive, or how do I use Teams, or all these silly questions that are actually more a training topic or a topic about users talking to other users or finding out information on their own. And from our past experiences, we saw that this is usually adding up to the IT volume, to the service desk volume of tickets processed, because everyone would then call the hotline and ask, hey, how do I solve an incident, or how do I log into Outlook? And we wanted somehow to reduce the number of these how-to questions, the number of service requests, right, we call them, and focus more on the incidents. And for that, we thought about splitting these tool set that Office 365 provides us into two main branches. We call them, internally, we call them Office 365 core tools, and you can see them on the left. These are basically the tools that you would use classically in Office, right? Everyone is using Excel and PowerPoint and OneNote and Outlook and so on, SharePoint. And for this, we said, okay, these are core tools. We need to provide support out of the IT for this, right? We will do the classic hierarchical support structure, starting in first level, second level, third level support. We will have it backed up by our ITSM ticketing system and so on and so forth with trained IT personnel. And these new work style tools, which is actually the value add that Office 365 brings, like Teams, Planner, Streams, these would be, we said that we could focus more on crowdsourced knowledge, meaning we would rely on our network of guides. We would rely on our so-called social support forums, because what we did, we created like sort of a TechNet, internal TechNet, where users would post a question and they would get an answer from their peers. And if that answer is approved, then they would not call the IT service desk anymore. And one more thing happens with that approved answer, but I would show that later on. So this is how we split up this tool set in order to support our IT strategy. Then we said, okay, what can we do more? The concept is that we would like to get rid of these service requests about the how-to questions. I don't know how it is in your organizations, but in my organization, these are making up like maybe 60% of all the volumes that the service desk is handling. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Instead of focusing on the real issues, on solving the incidents, you're teaching a user how to change the font in PowerPoint. And that's not adding any value to the IT service desk, right? So we said, okay, maybe we can focus on these service requests with the chatbot, because it's the easiest way to do. Because the chatbot will always know the answer to these simple questions, and I can have the IT focus on the incidents. So the concept is to have this chatbot as a level 0 support, and then move on a hierarchical structure to first, second, and third level support. And down on the graph, you see why does this bring so much value? Because the chatbot answers very generalistic questions, like these how-to questions, and in the third and fourth level support there, you have, of course, the specialists. But also, the solution speed is really fast. If you're using the chatbot, you get your request answered more or less instantly if he knows the answer. And also, that means that the support costs are lower. Why? Because if I'm pushing these 60% of tickets into first and second level support, they will add up to my general IT cost, right? Whereas the chatbot hopefully can solve them at level 0 without adding additional cost. So that's the business case that we're focusing on. And of course, that last but not least, customer satisfaction, because we know that's one of the most important factors, would be higher because they would get their answers a bit sooner. Okay, so just generally what we thought about doing with the bot is that we focus on these service requests. And we started with basically Office 365, but the plan is to expand that beyond, like to be able to search for documentation and provide other solutions to other common questions. How do I use the printer, or how do I acquire new IT equipment, or stuff like that. we focused. The idea is that we want to think big but start small, and because there was time pressure with implementing this bot, we said, okay, we need to focus on important topics. So we said, okay, I would like the bot to be able to focus on Office 365 topics, because this is where I was expecting most of my workload to come during the rollout. It should differentiate between these core tools that I showed you earlier and the new work style tools. It should be able to open IT tickets in case that the questions cannot be solved, and so on. Then I want to focus on the top 10 IT service requests. These are not Office 365 related questions. Maybe like, I would like to have remote desktop rights on a certain machine, or I would like administrative rights. I would need my password to be reset, or how do I reset my password? How do I log into SAP? So not necessarily Office 365 focused questions. And then we focused also on this ticket handling, because we added an API that is interfacing with our HP Service Manager, which is our ITSM suite. And of course, we want to be able to report all this. We want to be able to report how many unique users are using the bot, how many interactions, what are the most common asked questions, and so on. So an interesting feature that we built into the bot is the so-called synergy with our social support forums. Because in Office 365, we were faced with a problem. If we are using an internal IT knowledge base for the bot, we are kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, because we are living in an evergreen world. So every time Microsoft is pushing out a new feature into Teams, we'll have to go through all the entries in our knowledge base and ask ourselves, okay, I need to update this one, I need to update this one, and that is a huge effort. I'm not sure content management is on the big topics for chatbot. So we thought, how can we face this challenge? How can we ensure that we remain relevant in an evergreen world? And the answer is coming from our social support forums. Remember when I told you that we presented a platform for our end users to ask a question and their peers to answer that? Well, the bot is aware about those answers. So let's say that someone is asking a question from our beloved Mo. What is, I don't know, anything. And Mo, well, the poor guy doesn't have an answer to it. What he will do, he will post this question on behalf of the user on these forums and let his peers answer that question. So, at the end of the day, when the answer is there and marked as valid, our chatbot would grab that answer and then provide later on the answer to the user. So what we do is we basically use this answer and approved answer mechanism of our forums in order to constantly keep the bot knowledge base updated. So he will have the latest evergreen answers crowdsourced by our dear employees who take time to answer this question on those forums. And whenever something updates in such a thread, you just have to mark as an accepted answer, and the bot crawler will go over that thread, grab the answer, and update his Q&A database. So that is one way that we thought that we could ensure this evergreen knowledge content management. Okay, so he found out that the answer is 42, and everyone is pleased. Okay, so that was just a short intro about the bot, about the concept, and about what we are trying to do at Continental about it. Now, I would like to hand over to Klaus, because together we're going to show you a bit about Mo, right?
Thank you, Florin. So we have prepared a set of demonstrations for you to bring it to life so that you can see what is the chatbot solution about. It's not just the user front end. This will be the first set of demos, as you can see here, what we have prepared. We have also prepared the topic of content management. That's a very important topic. We have a glimpse into that. The analytics portion already mentioned, and how to configure the board. So let's start with the demonstration. We switch over to the live system.
Yep.
And now we are on a landing page, which is distributed over the enterprise, so everybody has access to and ask the MoBot any question. So let's start. We are greeted with a name, so that the bot knows already who is chatting, and we ask him, what's your name, for example?
Well, if I could type properly. Doesn't matter. So you can see that this is just a small talk happening here, but as Klaus would later will tell you, it's also we are also able to use our headsets and
we can speak to the bot, use the speech recognition and text-to-speech engines. Yeah, what is the languages?
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you?
You have to press again.
I have to press.
It was
Okay.
not hot.
How are you? Okay. Seems like he is greeting me and also telling me what he can do for me, so we can ensure that the user is always asking the right questions. So this is a page presenting the capabilities of the bot.
Yeah. So it's a multi-language bot, so we can also ask the bot, which languages do you support, for example. You can speak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget about
Yeah.
that. Which languages do you support?
So it's currently restricted to English and German because we tested that, but it can also understand other languages which are supported by Microsoft. For example,
Okay. Should I just do something
Yeah.
crazy here?
type something in Spanish, for example. Or
Right? Is this
¿Cómo te
correct?
llamas?
Okay. Well, he has says Spanish as well. This is how we ensure that our users are getting real-time language translations, and we don't have to care about translating all the content in different languages, because that would be crazy.
Yeah, correct. So let's take another example in German. How many participants in a Skype meetings are allowed? Wie viele Teilnehmer in einem Skype-Meeting?
Okay. And he does the language switch on the spot, so he can either see if the browser is set up in a specific language, or he will just check for the language input.
Maybe we can scroll through the carousel cards which are displayed. We can see also the source where the information is coming from. We will dig into that a bit later. What are the sources, the different social support forums? We can click on one of the solutions, expand the text to see the complete response.
What the user can also do is he can boost up an answer by liking or disliking it, and I guess that's adding to the answer weighing for future.
Yeah, it's important to collect the information about how the bot is used and what is the feedback of the user, so that we have to collect it for later machine learning optimization. So the initial step is to collect the information. So let's ask another question, which leads into a more complex use case. That were use cases with a single question and response, and then we are done. Now let's take a more complex flow. I want to know how to add a functional mailbox in Outlook. Maybe you can ask him.
How do I add a functional mailbox to Outlook?
So at first, the Mobot looked into the database, into the knowledge base, which is, we are using Q&A Maker for that service. Looks first in the internal knowledge bases. We can see here now different proposals which are collected by different forums. We see there also which source it is. Then we decide, okay, that's not what we want to know, and we want to trigger the Microsoft support sites. We have included Bing search as the next escalation step because many of the questions users have are in the public domain anyway, and then it makes no sense to maintain the same content internally. So that's the priority. Next priority, trigger the Bing search.
Okay, so let's just say that there is no proper answer here. Although what you can see is what I mentioned earlier. The bot is also presenting answers that he found from our social web. So it's also giving you the link to the thread where this question was answered. So maybe the user does not fully understand the answer that the bot is giving him. This is the approved answer from that thread. He is given the options to go into that thread and maybe check the complete discussion that's going on there if he wants to dig deeper into the topic. And it's providing you answers out of the IT database. So this is a different database that we have. So that is why you see all these carousel cars. But now let's simulate that the bot cannot answer this. So I would like to have, as a fallback scenario, we thought we would add Bing search.
Okay, Bing search is, we can define which sites are searched for. So that we can restrict it to the domain of the questions we're expecting. And we can see here, supportoffice.com is one of the sites we have selected. Let's see if there's another one. No, there's no other one, but we have configured
it's
others.
It's TechNet and support.office.com.
Yeah, official Microsoft pages. Now, let's assume that none of these responses are still answering the user's question. And we can continue in the flow with no. Then the question is analyzed which type of the domain, new work style tools or the classical core products are affected. And we see here that it's classical core because it triggers the ticket creation dialog. The other option would be to trigger a forum post, which we will look at a bit later.
So we didn't want to leave our users like hanging in the water and without giving them an option if the bot does not answer the question. So here we present them with the option, okay, we didn't find your answer on our social network, in our IT knowledge bases. We didn't find the answer to your question on Bing, on TechNet, or on office.com. So the last fallback scenario is what we are actually trying to avoid by this, but nevertheless we want to help the user, is to send a ticket to the IT.
So then let's see how the bot is opening a ticket. We can ask for myself or for a colleague. And then it's asking for some more details.
Okay, I will write this one here because what you're seeing, this is the live system. So I will just have to give a hint to my IT service desk colleagues not to do anything crazy with this ticket.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right, so that's the final confirmation here. If I would like to modify my entries or whatever.
So we can see that we get the ticket number immediately back. And then we can follow up the status of the ticket and ask the bot maybe later, what is the status of my tickets?
Why not now?
Yeah, we can do it now. but probably it's not changed. Nobody worked on it yet.
Okay, so I have 2 open tickets, and one of them is the last one I have processed, right? So
Yeah.
it can give you always a full overview about what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, then let's go over to the next use case, which is about using self-service requests. And one of the examples, what we have implemented is using, I want to request an admin access to a computer, and we can do it from here.
Okay, so regarding the administrative rights, it can also trigger self-service processes. Okay, so as in any company, we in Continental employ also an approval workflow. We cannot go around that approval workflow because cybersecurity would be on our heads, of course. So what you see there in SSP7 requests is us being compliant with the company regulations. And what the bot would do is he would pre-fill that form out for you, so you don't have to worry about, crazy data that you have to add there.
So we can check if the request is correct, and then additional information is collected.
Or the bot code is having an issue. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Good. That's
Not
fine.
this morning. It's live. Normally, it requests for additional parameters, and the additional parameter is the host name of the host where the admin request or admin access is requested. And then a dynamic URL is generated, and this dynamic URL leads to a self-service portal where every value is pre-filled. We can modify the values there and then trigger directly the opening of the admin.
Okay,
rights.
so I'm
Now we
back in
can
that
see it.
dialog. You can see that the bot automatically is recognizing my host name and is giving me the option to use my host name for that. And then it fills out my admin rights request form. And if I open that, you will see that it will be pre-filled with the data that the bot collected. So let me scroll down. My host name is there, so it's completed. Now I just have to check this and send it to my boss to approve it. As I said, that's the way it goes.
So we integrated the bot with a database which contains the information which user has access to which computers at all. So if I would have demonstrated that, there is no list because as an external I have no access to any of the computers. So it would be empty. So it's a personal information used by the bot. What are the candidates so that only valid values can be selected here. Okay. So
we still have something else to show.
Yeah. Then let's close this this section of demos for the user front end. And I want to just introduce you to the high-level dialog structure, what we have implemented here. I think you got an idea that there is not a simple dialog flow implemented. You see here on the top level that we compare concurrently FAQ questions and questions which lead to an action. So Q&A maker is the implementation for the FAQ, and Lewis is used to trigger an action. And then we have the flow of first check the internal database on the left half of the picture. Then check Bing search. If that fails, open a ticket, or depending on the topic, open and write a post into the forum. And that's all implemented in the bot. So then let's proceed to the next section, the content management, which turned out to be much more effort than we thought initially. because with the growing content, we have seen that we are probably one of the leading solutions looking at the amount of data which is already contained in the database. So it's important to modify and to maintain the content, and we have created a process along that, and maybe you can give us an introduction about knowledge sources and how fits that together.
So content management was definitely a challenge, as I mentioned earlier, also because of the evergreen situation that we had. So, but we also had IT knowledge base at our that we had to deal with, and generally other knowledge bases as well. So starting from the right to left, we would have managed content. That would be your IT knowledge base. We would have general questions regarding Office 365 answered by the project team and uploaded directly into the Q&A database. And we also have the evergreen questions coming from the social support forums that we're having in a company that would be collected by a crawler process, and then all of these would be transported in a so-called quality Q&A database. Now, what the quality Q&A database does, it's more or less, it's a fallback to check whether there's something going wrong with the data import that we're bringing in out of these knowledge sources, or also to check whether the answers coming from the social support forums are really relevant for the bot. We're using it as a let's say as a quality gate for these questions, because we want to ensure that the answer stays relevant. Then we are using a management app that is also has been developed by Avanade in order to check this content, to find out what we are syncing, what we are not syncing into the production database, maybe edit the answers and the questions around a bit so they are more understandable, do the bot training. So we're doing that through the content management app. And when everything is fine, we're pushing it into the productive Q&A database of the chatbot. And that, with that database, actually, the user interaction happens. What you see here, the quality, that's hidden from end user access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also learned that we had to prioritize the sources of questions and answers. The majority of the content is collected from the social support forums, and the quality is not so controlled like in a managed content. So we have defined sections in the Q&A maker which provide or which are used as a higher priority. If the match fits into that category, then it will be prioritized and reordered in the response to the user, so that the quality of the automatically collected information can be overridden by manually managed content. So let's have a deeper look into the process, starting with the crawler process, which is running frequently, collecting more and more questions from the social support forum. It's more than 5,500 or so questions which we have collected there, and it's really impressive. So the first stage, which is loaded automatically, is this quality check or staging knowledge Q&A maker instance. And from there, the management application takes the content, adds metadata information so that we can check when was this content changed, when was it modified. All this content management life cycle support is integrated into the management application, because that's not provided by the Q&A maker itself. So we can modify, upload the content to the production knowledge base instance and train and publish it right from the user interface, which we are going to show you in a minute. You will see on the surface that you have the two sections. On the lower part, the automatically filled instance by the crawler process, and then on the top part, the production instance, and the difference between the two. Okay, then we can switch over to the live system. it's again the production system.
Yeah.
And we want to do a modification there. How
Just
do we do
a
that?
small addition to the to this topic. We wanted to have a content management system, or let's say a content management interface, because we wanted to avoid that our knowledge base managers and content managers have direct access to the Q&A module, because, well, we wanted to ensure that everything runs smooth. You don't want to give access there to anyone. So we built this front end, so the management of the topics is a bit easier. Okay, so what you can see here is that we're having different knowledge sources for our bot. So quite a lot of topics and answer questions. And what we can do is go in there and I guess we can edit them. So these are the IT contributions. These are knowledge base entries imported from the IT knowledge base. And you can see here that they are listed. I can search for them. The ones newly modified are also are shown here by whom it was modified. And I can go ahead here and just, for example, I could edit one of these, I don't know, how is the weather? Not sure if that's not triggering something else, but anyway, I will not push this to productive because I don't want to mess around with it. But you can see here that you can edit this more or less really easy. Your content manager does not have to have, I don't know, knowledge about Q&A, about Lewis or what it does. He just needs to understand that you have to have on the right side, on the left side, some training questions, of course, for the Q&A, so he can recognize the question a bit better. On the right side, it's the actual answer that the bot will give you. So I can do that. I can save that, and then afterwards, what I can do is I can go and push this into productive. This clock here is actually a count up from where the last productive sync was done. So until I'm not pushing this button, none of these modifications will go to the productive database. So I have time to edit a couple of them or more, and then do a batch update of the Q&A prod. Then probably about 10 minutes later, the bot will be able to answer these questions. So this is how we avoided, one, that people are not logging in directly into the Q&A. Two, we are giving them a good overview about what needs to be done. We are and also having a possibility to do a mass upload to the production database, so we don't have to sync each question and answer separately.
Yeah. Another important feature what we have is you can see the multiple sections of the knowledge domains, and we have a role-based concept behind that, so that we can assign who is able to edit in which section, so that people who are not knowledgeable about the section, they don't know, they don't see it, and they cannot edit it. Another important thing is that we can manage also the word alterations here, which is not possible in the Q&A Maker portal right now. Maybe we can have a short look on the table.
What exactly?
The word alterations.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. Okay, and we can edit it here so that we don't have to train and create all the alterations of the questions, and that this is intrinsically used as in the features of Q&A Maker. Okay, so that's a quick insight into the content management. The next insight, what we want to give you, is the analytics and statistics. And we will show you the Power BI reports. Oh, the network is lost. It's coming back now. So what we have created here is with Power BI some statistics and insights, because we want to use to know how is the bot used, where can we optimize it, what is the direction we have to improve it later. and we are collecting some KPIs, already mentioned, number of unique users and so on. We see the adoption rate, and I will show it now in the live system. That was an older screenshot.
Okay, you can imagine that we needed these dashboards in order to ensure that, you know, answers from basically from management coming, hey, what's the bot doing? How many answers does it answer? Is it giving a value add to the organization? But also for internal analysis, because I want to know what are the user asking from my bot? Are these answers available in the knowledge base? If yes, that's fine. If not, maybe I can add them later on. So it's part of the continuous improvement process of our bot content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some examples of statistics we can see is on the top, the adoption. How is the bot used? Currently, it's not increasing. We see a peak during summer when more testing was done. And that's an issue we are working now, and we are convinced that it depends on the accessibility of the user front end, because now the users have to know where is the landing page and find it and open the MoBot, and it should be simpler. So we are talking about the Teams integration, because Teams is always open, or Cortana as another channel. So that's also used here. Other statistics we can see which languages are used, or also interesting, are there more types of questions concerning the FAQ database or the Lewis? And we see Q&A here, it's a black sign there. It's of higher importance. So let's dig a bit deeper into other statistics, and they're also interesting here. I hope that you can read it. On the top, we see the top Q&A sources, so which are the domains which are most interesting for the users. On the top, you can see, not really unexpected, the IT contributions, and that's the managed content. And we see that the managed content really reflects the majority of questions. The next one is of the social support forum. Most questions go into the domain of Outlook, also interesting. Then the next one, small talk, also interesting. And because many people want to play around a bit with the bot, and therefore we need some meaningful responses there, and it's on the top 3. And then we see the other areas of questions. On the top right, we can see the top Lewis intents which are used. Most questions by far is questions of the type, what is? And that's one of the intents which we added later during the project, because when we saw that a lot of questions there, what is Outlook, what is OVA or whatever, that we created an intent directly pointing to pages where it can be explained. The next one, which was an assumption, a basic assumption, that the business case was mostly driven by avoiding questions from the users, what's the status of my ticket? So that's top 2. And then let's skip the dialogue management questions. Then the next one is the weather forecast, was never designed for, but people are using it. And so on, software order, the next one. So that's quite interesting insight. Also the top Q&A questions or responses, because questions are differing from time to time, and therefore we measure the top questions or top responses which are delivered. It's about also Outlook emails. Okay, so that's the area of insights and reporting. Let's switch back to the last demonstration. So we based the whole solution on so-called Curious Bot framework accelerator, what we have developed as within Avanade, to provide a quicker start for new projects, and the whole dialogues, what you have seen here, are able, they are configured. And they are so flexible that we can configure a new dialog on top of, on a running system. And I want to show you how this will work. So there are two basic systems which I have to address and modify to add a new intent. One is the configuration database, where the text blocks are stored for the dialog and the dialog logic. And of course the Lewis model, which is standard Microsoft technology. I think time is passing quickly, so I have to speed up a bit, explain the process. So what we do first is define in the database a new instance of the Lewis intent, define the translation of it in each supported language, so that we have the text blocks ready when we are asking or confirming the questions of the user. Then, as an option, we can ask for the parameters required. We have seen the example of the admin rights. We have to ask for the host name. That's an entity. We can define in the database what are the entities and the names and translations of that. Next is we have to define an action when the Lewis intent is recognized. And we have thought about a new intent like restore data of SharePoint, which was a new request coming up last week. And we took that as an example to show that to you. And the last step is extend the Lewis model, and that's when we press on the publish button, then it's immediately live. So we can work on it hidden behind the scenes until we press the publish button on Lewis, and then it's immediately live, and we don't have any service interruption there. So let's have a look into the database. I don't, is it open here?
You're on?
Yeah. Okay, that shows the database structure which controls the whole bot dialog. And we can see here what I have added. For example, that are 4 tables basically to add a new intent. I have to add the intent in the intents table. And this, of course, has to match exactly with the Lewis intent. So it's not yet automatically synchronized. That's planned for the next version. And we see on the bottom, I have added this SharePoint restore data, one-to-one match to the intent name in Lewis. Then we need some text blocks in the supported languages. We see it here in this line, and the last line, German and English as supported languages. So for the titles, and we can add other text here. I show you also how the action is defined in this table, action translations, SharePoint on the top, it's on the here. I have to expand it a bit. And that's the response here. And we can also define in another table the URL. Time is running out, so I have to skip it a bit. But that's a principle. I think that's clear. And then in Lewis, I can train the model. I think we have to skip that, otherwise we won't make our time schedule. But there are enough sessions. It's nothing special with training a Lewis model. Add an intent, add some sample sentences, train the model, publish it, and then it's live. So the whole process is a matter of 15 to 20 minutes, and a new intent is live. Okay, then the next. Let's have a look into the architecture of the system, the requirements, and so on. We had to integrate 7 different back-end connectors into the single bot. We have integrated the ticket system, several databases, the social support forum, and so on, and we all had to integrate that on the back-end side. That has some consequences for the topology. I show you on this next a bit later. On the user front end, I mentioned it already, we started with the intranet, you have seen it, the landing page. And on the planning, it's Microsoft Teams, because it's there. We have this interface. We don't have to roll out anything as a global bot there. We want to add mobile interface, and also, we talked about integrating Cortana, because in Windows 10 it's always available. I mentioned already the Curious Bot as a framework, as an accelerator, and the idea behind that was created during.
That was not me.
Don't know where the application. You have to bring it back. Probably had this. Something has happened here.
That one.
Yeah.
I want to scroll.
So I'm back in a minute.
Nine.
Yeah. Okay, we are back, and it's a framework which supports already automatically a lot of features. Lewis integration, multilingual, as you have seen, spell check, and so on. On the left, it's divided in a layered architecture. From left side, the input channels, which use the standard interfaces available through the bot framework from Microsoft. Then the perception layer, which tries to understand what is the intention of the user. In the decision supporting layer, we decide what type of dialogue should we continue, for example, asking additional questions, or decide is it a Q&A maker or Lewis intent recognized, and then trigger the appropriate actions. In the execution layer, we can connect to the ticket system, as we have seen, and the reporting layer is also important to understand what's going on. I see this as related to the previously IVR projects, where you also need to know what's going on the user side, because there is no human direct touch there and no feedback. The users are left alone, and we have to drill into what's going on there. So let's have a look into the dynamics of the solution. How do the modules work together? And we have an animation here. We ask a question in German, for example. Then the text analytics detects, okay, it's German. We have to send it to the optional translation module. Then the translation, the output of the translation is sent in parallel to the Q&A maker in Lewis, which seems to be unique in the industry to do it in parallel. Then the results are sent to the decision logic. And there is some magic, because the scores you cannot compare one by one, and therefore we have currently a rule-based system which decides which to take, and later when we have more training material, we will apply more AI to take and optimize the decision here. Then the output was, in this case, the Q&A maker, and then the response generator detects the user language is German. I have to send it to the translation again, translate it there, and send it back to the user. Okay, then let's have a quick look at the topology which we have selected. You have seen we have 7 separate backend integrations. And if you deploy the bot in Azure, you would have to open from Azure 7 different access with all the security rules and so on, and you have to explain it to security why you need that, and therefore we selected a hybrid approach, and we put the bot logic in the DMZ, because then we need just one port from the internet, and from there we can access all the back-end systems which we need. So summing up, a bot is not just a bot. We need much more. And I think that you have a better understanding why it's more. So, of course, in the core, in the center, we have the generic core with the runtime bot. We standardized it. We can configure it so that we can bring it to other use cases and multiply it. Around that, we need more in the orange shell, the management UI. We need the reporting, and we need the aspect of the configurable knowledge. And beyond that, we are going into the special environment, adding skills for digital assistance, for attaching to a specific ticket system, and so on. So then I want to hand over to Florin again to say what was the learnings and what are important takeaways for you when you want to start a project.
I will keep it rather simple because I think these are our takeaways, but I guess they apply to most situations anyway. So when you're implementing a bot, I think you should keep in mind that you should have clearly defined scope and use cases. Don't just think that I'm implementing a bot that will handle any kind of question, because that would be pretty difficult to implement. But think big, start small. I think that's a sentence that applies to our learning, at least. The biggest challenge, and the one that we were not expecting to have, but ran into later on, is content management and lifecycle. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by not being able to manage the content that you have in your bot. And if you're running a bot in a corporate environment, you will want to manage that content, because you would want to take care what information is presented to your employees and to your end users. And if you don't think about how do I manage that, how do I keep it simple, how do I take care about a certain life cycle, how do I take care about the evergreen elements, what do I do if something changes, how do I recognize if something changes? All these questions are going to just add up to whoever is responsible for content management in your company, or for IT knowledge management, or whoever is doing content management for the bot. So if you're planning a bot, plan a content management for it. It's critical. Yeah, so all this, at the end of the day, someone has to do it. Of course, at the beginning, it would be more work, because we will have to go all through this content management process. But once it's running, it's easier to manage. But nevertheless, at least at the beginning of the project, be prepared to invest time and resources into it. I guess that's a no-brainer. And last but not least, at least in Europe, data protection and information security. Yeah, think about that. Think about what information you're putting into the cloud, the personal data. Think about what ports you're opening. Think about where you place the bot in the DMZ. This is kind of small stuff, but we had to struggle a lot with feedback coming in that we have to get this approved and that approved and this approved and that approved. And for us, it was a learning process, but make sure that you think about this when, in due time, when you're thinking about implementing a chatbot. Okay. I think we're done, right?
No, one other.
One more slide.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's clear. The bot is only as intelligent as you make it. It's not a magical solution. It will not know the meaning of life without you telling it what it is. So you have to know it first, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you do.
I think we have one last question to the bot. We can ask him. Maybe you can unlock again.
I can unlock. Okay.
Yeah, there's a question here.
Oh, you prepared a question?
Yeah. It's still live.
It's alive, yeah.
So I just want to ask him if he likes a date with me. Want a date?
Did you put this there in our break or what? German guys, don't ask. this?
On a date, yeah. Try.
Really?
Yeah.
We're live.
We are live, yeah. Let's see. He's thinking a lot.
I'm scared.
Oh,
No.
no.
He
it's
doesn't know.
Out of the
Whatever
maybe
you did,
can
he's not happy.
Ask.
Want a date?
Yeah.
Klaus, what did you do on our break? Let's just stay friends. Yeah, but that's, I guess, you wanted to show us how easily you can configure this without me knowing, right? Okay, so thank you, folks. That's been all. We have 10 minutes left, I guess. We're on time for any kind of questions or whatever. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will have to you to use the mic because you will get a transcript later on.
So I'm just wondering how long it took you to implement this.
How long?
Yeah, so
It's been almost a year.
Especially factors like integrated into a corporate infrastructure and with the security integration that's takes some process time, and also testing with the reverse proxies, and it's a bit complex there, and that delays it a bit. If you look at the solution, if you would deploy it in Azure, then it's much quicker because you don't have this infrastructure issues. Mm-hmm.
So how is the adoption rate for O365 now that you've actually put the bot in place?
Yeah, the adoption of Office 365, I think.
Yeah, well, the rollout is ongoing right now in Continental. I think from an adoption rate from Office 365, it's really good. What we noticed, we were a bit scared at first because we were expecting a lot of IT tickets, but probably also due to the good communication that our colleagues did and to the project management, actually we have less incident than expected. So it's going rather well, I would say. I think we will make end of the year.
How are you seeing the contribution rate of the knowledge forms adoption and
Sorry?
the adoption and the contributions of the knowledge forms?
Okay, you mean the adoption of the bot being used, or?
No, that you have the knowledge base, the crowdsourced knowledge forms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's used. I think we have over, how many answers do we have there? Over
1,500 or so.
Over 1,500 answers we have there that are all in the bot knowledge base. So
that's growing weekly.
It's growing.
Yeah.
That's actually our biggest source of knowledge right now, because the managed knowledge base cannot keep up, because of course in a managed knowledge base we have to follow the ITSM processes, right? And we know how that can be a pain sometime. But these are just, the crowdsourced knowledge is growing like crazy.
Are you doing anything to influence people to use it, or is this?
It's actually been part of this project communication and part of our support concept, that the people have the option to either use the IT for incidents, but they have been advised that for how-to questions and this kind of show me how it works kind of stuff, that they should use that. And there was extensive communication, and we have a vast network of guides, like Office 365 guides, which are sort of a key users in the business, non-IT, that are volunteering to help end users cope with this change. So they can address the question directly to them, they can go to the forums and post the questions, they can ask the bot, or they can call the IT. All these channels are open, so we're not restricting anything.
Did you mention this already?
Oh, yeah, and this is one of the guides that we're having. It's a hard-printed copy. It's very nice colored, about Office 365. Every end user gets that, so we really wanted to ensure that we do everything possible to enable this new work style. Yep.
Hi. You guys mentioned about how the chatbot would look for an answer in a social support forum.
Right.
How do you manage the time between finding a valid answer and waiting until it gets there? Because the user is gonna run out of patience eventually.
Yeah.
The bot is trying to query.
Yeah,
for a while.
You mean that graph that I showed you that it posing the question to the yeah? Well, we are in the dialog flow. We are informing the end user that the bot does not know the answer to that question, but he will post it on the forums, and he should wait for an answer that is coming from there, right? So the end user is informed that okay, the bot does not have the question, but his peers might. So maybe I misunderstood your question.
Perfect. It's that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Just going back to the original purpose of you building the bot was to reduce the number of sort of level 1 service desk calls and to reduce cost
That's
and
the
time.
general business case, yeah.
How has that business case stacked up? Like, have you been able to see a reduction in level 1 calls? Like, how have you gone back and justified to continue to invest in this over the
Yeah, that's a good question, because we are now kind of coming out of the project phase with the bot, right? Even though we started with the Office 365 migration, we don't see the bot fully adopted yet, right? But we don't want to. This Office 365 was just a starting point. So right now, to answer your questions, there is no value add, but this is just the beginning of the journey, right? I will be able to answer that question probably in a year or two.
What about just in the application of it during the Office 365 migration? Did you see sort of a large proportion of overall calls being answered by the bot?
Yeah, we see some, but I wouldn't call it large right now, because we kind of misplanned this interface because we thought that focusing on a web interface first would be easier and better, but it turns out that going to some landing page and asking the bot is maybe a bit too complicated. Okay, where's the URL? Where do I find this one? No, I'll just call the IT, right? But with these Teams integrations and the Cortana integration, this is where we expect the adoption rate to spike up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, have you ever done anything like sign-in cards, posting sign-in cards in the bots? Because we're working on a project to automate HR policies.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 40 policies, but the content has to be user-related. It's not open for anyone to post a question.
Yeah.
I have to sign in based on the access token. Content is trimmed, security trimmed. So we've been having a lot of issues with Skype for Business. That's our prime channel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sign-in cards, basically.
Sign-in cards.
365 sign-in.
I will have the tech guy answer that question.
Yeah, I didn't catch it. Maybe you can speak up a bit. Yeah.
I want to recognize who the user is. So to that, I have to post a sign-in card that he can sign in with his email ID and password, and so that I can recognize who the user is. And based on that, I can filter my content, trim the content, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't access your HR-related data. It has to be only, I can access only my data. For that, I have to sign in, and the system has to recognize who I am.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is done in the chatbot.
Yeah, okay.
We built a sign-in card. It works okay in a web chat.
Yeah.
Certain channels, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you embed the web chat in a SharePoint or 365 site,
Yeah.
you still have to log in. Users are like,
Yeah.
I'm already logging into 365. Why should I log in again in the bot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have multiple ways of user identification and authentication. We are using ADFS, and so that the login of the Windows user is already taken to authenticate. Depending on the back end, we have to integrate to, we have to use different ways. One is that we just can use the user ID and to impersonate that user. And we have also implemented an OAuth authentication to attach to the specific social support forum in our case. So multiple ways are available and implemented. Is that your question? Does it answer it?
Yeah, more like you've tried contextual authentication. Let's say your channel is web chat, for example.
Yeah.
And that web chat is sitting in a SharePoint site or...
yeah, okay.
So the question is, you log into a SharePoint site, you have a bot chat pop up.
So we don't use the web chat channel, we are using the direct line because then we can transmit the information to the bot. So that was required, that turned out during development. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So,
And for one more question.
no problem.
Can you speak a little bit more about the model that decides whether or not to give the user answer from Q&A maker versus the Lewis model, and how you make that decision?
Yeah. That's really an interesting question. And initially, when we started the project, we asked the trainers of Microsoft how to do that. And they told us, yeah, we don't know. You have to decide which one beforehand. And if you know, then please tell us. And so we tried it on our own how to do it, because I think who tested that has seen that the scores are really not really comparable. And we used some tricks to include content and training questions and loaded it into the Q&A, the Lewis training questions, so that we can compare the scores between the Lewis and the Q&A input. And the next step would be to do it vice versa on the other side, on the Q&A.
Okay, so some of the Q&A questions are duplicated in Lewis. So that way you can know whether or not to pick, right? Because you're saying get the scores from the Q&A, you can't really compare directly to the Lewis.
Correct.
So you just duplicate, and that way you're looking at the scores within one system. Sort of.
Yeah, you have to bring it into one model, and otherwise anything else is just not an exact solution.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. If you liked it, please rate us on the app. If not, do it as well.
No, then leave it.
Thank you for the participation. Have a great day.